Daf Beis Amud Beis, 6 lines from the top. We're holding in the middle of the machlokes between Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda. The Mishnah says or larabas, that the bedikas chametz is or larabas, or what is or? Rav Huna says that it's the daytime, and Rav Yehuda says it's the nighttime. So we are now bringing rayas, we're in the middle of the sugya, bringing rayas. What does or mean? Mesei kasha on Rav Yehuda. It says yachshuchu kayachei nishbai. It says the stars of the night will be dimmed. Yikavlu or v'ayin. He'll anticipate, hope, and crave for or v'ayin, and it won't come. Val yira ba'afafei shachar, and he won't see with the flutterings of the dawn. So midakamer yikavlu or v'ayin. It says he'll crave for or, and he won't find it. There will be none. Alma or yamamahu. Then it must be that or is yamama, meaning the context of it is we're talking about night. So it would appear to mean that yakav or the nighttime would crave for daytime, but it won't find it. It'll be a constant night. So don't you see, therefore, that or means daytime? The Gemara says no. Hasam meidlet utkalayet le'iv lamazle. Over there, the context over there was that Eiv was cursing his own mazel. He said, Omar, it should be the Ratzon Hashem that this person, meaning himself, he should wait for light and not be able to find it. And he was cursing himself, and he said, was not referring to the night, and that the night was anticipating and hoping for day, or doesn't mean day, it means light. And Eiv was cursing his own mazel. Meis will ask you another question. Dovid Melech says only darkness will shadow me. Ve'layla or ba'adeni, and Laila became or around me. Alma or yamamahu. That you see that it means that or is yamama, is daytime. And it says, but v'layla, the night, or badeni, that the night turned into day. So doesn't that show you that or means daytime? The Gemara says no. Awesome. Dovid was saying as follows. I thought, because of the Averis, I thought that will be that that darkness will shadow me even in Olam Haba. Olam Haba, which is compared to daytime, it's light. It's the daytime, it's bright. And I was afraid that because of the Avera, that Cheshech would shadow me even in Olam Haba. But I see now that there's a Mechila and Kafaras Avainas, I see Achshav Olam Hazeh, that even in Olam Hazeh, Shehu Doim Lalayla, which is compared to night, or Badeni, it became light around me. So there's no proof over here that it means daytime. Meisvel asked another kasha, Rav Yehuda Imer, Baitkim or la'arba asar. We do a bedika for or on the arba asar, or arba asar shachris, and again, he says we do it on the 14th of shachris, or b'shal sabir, and again at the time of the bir chometz. So this will be analyzed later in the Masechta, but Al Kolpanim Rav Yehuda says you do B'dika 3 times. The first time is or, the second time is Shachris. Doesn't that show you Midakam Rav Yehuda Boitkim or Arbasar or Arbasar Shachris, Alma or Urtahu? Doesn't that show you that or is Urta? Shmamino? Yes, you see clearly that or is night. So we see clearly that or is night. Now this would seem to be a raya to Rav Yehuda, that or is nighttime, but the Gemara does not conclude it over here. We're going to go through several other rayas until we come to the conclusion. And the question is, why doesn't this settle the issue right now when it's a clear raya like Rabbi Yehuda? The way Rabbeinu Dovid explains it is as follows. We do see here clearly that or can mean night. That even though or means light, but it can be used, Veloshan Saginor, so to speak, it can be used as an expression for nighttime. Instead of saying night, darkness, etc., we say light. So yes, we see clearly that night, that or can be referred to as a reference to night. But it doesn't show you that or cannot be also daytime. Perhaps or also means day. So therefore, we have to go through several rayas, and the approach that the Gemara is going to go through now is to bring several other rayas that or is used as nighttime, which therefore would mean that it's mistaber, that in our Mishnah also or larabos means nighttime. But the Gemara, we'll see, it's not conclusive until the Gemara finally will bring a conclusive raya that what we're referring to in our Mishnah means nighttime. But upon what we have demonstrated so far is that or is an expression that can be used for nighttime. Meisvei, I'll bring you another kasha. Now here, the Gemara's kasha over here is a kasha on Rav Huna. Meisvei, I'll ask you another kasha on Rav Huna. Me'imasei arbasar asar b'asiyas malacha. When is work also on arbasar ben Nisan? On the 14th day of Nisan, it's also to malacha. So over here, Rashi says what we're talking about over here is the morning of Yudalad Nisan, when it's a totally unminhag. It's totally unminhag. There are different minhagim on when work is also to do based on different minhagim. Taisus argues and he says it's not going on the minhag, it's going according to the Mount Almar that it's also. Akopanim may say, when is work also in the morning of Yudalad Nisan? The afternoon, when you bring the Korban Pesach, it's also Medina. But what about the morning? Me'imasar basar also basis malacha. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Aimer, he says mishasa or, he says from the time of or. So we'll see what that means. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer mishas hanetzachama. He says from the time of hanetzachama, from not the first, not or. We'll see what or means in a minute. It's the time of netz, from the time of sunrise, from the time of when you clearly see the sun in the sky. Amrulay Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Rabbi Yehuda, he said to him, V'chi heichan matzino yaim shemiksasa asur basiyas malacha, or miksasa muter basiyas malacha. Where do you see that we split up a day? You're saying it's from hanetzachama. That means that from Aleisa Shachar it's muter. It's only from netzachama that it's also. Where do we see that we split up a day? You can prove it from this day itself, from the day of Yudalad ben Nisan. Part of the day is also for chametz, and part is muter. Minatayr, it's only from chatzais. Midrabanan, they're maximum 2 hours. But you see that the day itself, part of the day is also by achilas chametz, part is muter. So what's bikasha that we're splitting up the day? Now, akopanim, we're coming to our point over here. Midakama, Rabbi Yehuda mishas hanetzachama. Rabbi Yehuda says that it's also from the time of the netz. Alma, or the kama Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, or tahu. Doesn't that show you that when Rabbi Elazar says from or, what he meant to say is, he meant to say from the night prior to this day, meaning after the 13th of Nisan, that night, the night before the day of Yudalad, that's when it's also. So don't you see that or means nighttime? Where's the light? My or Amud Hashachar. It means Amud Hashachar, not night. It means daytime. Rav Huna will say that what he means over here means daytime, meaning he says that it's also to do work on Erev Pesach. It's also to do work from the very beginning of the day. Aleisa Shachar. Rabbi Yehuda says that no, it's not also from the very beginning of the day. It's also from Hanetzachama, not from the beginning of the day. It's also from Hanetzachama. And on that, Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says, where do you see a day that's split up, that we split up the day, that part of the day is muter and part of the day is also, which Rabbi Yehuda responded, well, we see it from this day itself, l'gabe achilas chametz. What is the svara to be machalik? What is between Alois Shachar and Netzachama? Tesa says, Netzachama is the time when people, the workers, typically go out to work. They don't go out at the very beginning of the day of the Alois, it's partially dark over there. They go out at sunrise. So that's the time when workers begin typically to work, and that's when the minhag was that there should be no work from when the workday begins, from when the workday typically begins, that's when the Isser Malacha should start. So therefore, what we're suggesting is that or means Amud Shachar. Frank the Gemara, Ihachi, the Kamerle, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov says, Rabbi Yehuda Hechem Etzina Yem Shemiksalsa Mutar Basis Malacha Miksalsa also Basis Malacha. Well, he said to him, where do you find the day that you split up that way? Name it Ilan Ashe. Well, he can ask on himself. He can ask on himself. By Ikar Laila, the Kashar, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. Well, he himself says the nighttime is mutar. It's only from the beginning of the day. It's also Bishlama if you say or means nighttime, so he answers Malacha from the beginning of the night. But here you're saying he answers it from Amud Shachar, so he also agrees that the nighttime is mutar. So you are splitting up this day. He says no, Hachi Kamar. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov says as follows. Really, I'll tell you that or means that it means the Alaysa Shachar, like Rav Huna says. And he says as follows: according to me, we do find a precedent. We find that the Rabbanan differentiate and split up the night and the day. They'd say that the night is one way, the night is mutar, the day is also. We learned that the Gabi fasting, Gabi Tanis Sibur, until when you can eat and drink before a fast, until Amud Shachar, Divrei Lezer ben Yaakov. Rishim and Oimer, he says, I'd cry together. He says until the rooster crows. He says not Alaysa Shachar. He says that it's until the rooster crows. So, therefore, he says, according to me, you see, we do have this precedent. We do split up the night and the day. They say the night is mutar, the day is also. But you're saying that we're differentiating in the day itself. You're saying Alaysa Shachar, the day is begun. And it's mutar basis malachan yudal benisa. It's only later when hanetzachama hecha ashkach the yamama gufa the palgibei rabbanon. Where do you see that in the day itself, the rabbanon machalik in the day itself, and they say part of the day is mutar and part is also. And Amrulay Rabbi Yehuda answered to him, who asked me, you can prove it from the Yudalit itself. She makes also mutar b'achilas chometz, and makes also b'achilas chometz, because as far as achilas chometz, you see, we do split up the day. In fact, the more Shapir Amrulay Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yehuda has a good taina. It seems to be a very strong case. We see, yes, in Yudal we do split up the day and differentiate in parts of the day as the Gabe Achila. More answers, Hachi Karmelei Rabbi Eliezer says as follows. He would say the following Rabbi Yehuda. Amin al-Choana Melach D'Rabbanan. I'm talking about the Isra Malacha, it's an Isra D'Rabbanan. That Amradli Chametz D'Oraisa, you're bringing me a Raya of Chametz, which is D'Oraisa, that Hachas Rachman, about Hachashar Rachman. Till here the Torah Aser, till here it's Mutar. Meaning the Torah Aser, they said it's Isra Chametz on after Chatzos, and with the rice, it's mutar before chatzos. So the Torah splits it up, but split up a day. What the reason is exactly, we're not privy to exactly what the reasoning the Torah is. But the Rabbanan are Masakin based on Svar. Where would you see that the Rabbanan would split up a day itself? Where would you see they would do something like that? It's not mistaber that to say that the Rabbanan would split up a day and do something which is based on Svara. Why would they split up a day? So the Idach, Rabbi Yehuda would say, well, what do you mean? It shows the Rabbanan. Well, even by eating the shows, there are hours which midrabbanan. In midoraisa, it's only after chatzos. The Rabbanan added on 2 hours earlier than that. So it is even the Rabbanan, you see that they split up the day. V'idach, Rabbi Lezer would say as follows. He says, no. He would say, V'idach harchakahu davar Rabbanan l'doraisa. That's not what they instituted on their own. They added on these hours as a harchaka midoraisa. There might be a cloudy day. You might not be able to differentiate between before noon and afternoon. It might not be clear. You might make a mistake. So to make harchaka, to make a siag, they added on 2 hours. That we find. The Rabbanah protected the raisa, and they enact a fence around the deraisa, so they make an addition. But here we're talking about something which is their enactment, which is their takana. Where would you find that in their takana that we do something like that? Taisus points out, well, we do find something like that in the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan said that it's also to eat on Arvi Shabbos and Arvi Yom Tovim in Chol Hamal. So said that it's also to eat, to make a Suda before Shabbos, before Yontiv. We want you to come into Shabbos and Yontiv when you're Toiv Lecho, you have an appetite, so they said you can't make a Suda on that part of the day. So Taisus explains is that unless there is a compelling reason, the Rabbanan would not split up a day. Yes, we do find a precedent that they split up a day, but there's a compelling reason. Otherwise, they would not split up a day. Well, Taisus just explained earlier what is the rationale between differentiating between Alois and Netzachama. He says, well, because Netzachama is when they typically go to work. So there's a svara. There's also a svara to be mechalek between Isra Malacha from Alois or a Netzachama. Netz is when the people typically go to work. That's when the workday begins. So there also is a svara over here. The Maharsha explains is that what we mean to say, Taisus means to say is that the Rabbanan wouldn't differentiate and split up a day unless there's a compelling svara. That svara to differentiate between Alois and Netz is not compelling. The svara by a Suda of Shabbos and Yontiv is compelling. Meisvei, I'll ask you another kasha that you're telling me or means day. I Meisvei ain't Masechet Masua is when Bezdin were Mekadosh the Chodesh. So they made a new month. To inform the people of the new month, they used to light torches and climb on the mountaintops and wave them so that people could see, and distances throughout the land, people could see that, they're waving the torches, that must mean that now it's Reish Chodesh. So when did they do this? Only on a month where they were Mekadosh in its time. So sometimes there's a month that the Rosh Chodesh is after 29 days, then the 30th day becomes Rosh Chodesh, in effect, the first day of the new month. Sometimes they add on a day, and they make the previous month a Chodesh Mole, so it's 30 days, and Rosh Chodesh is only on the 31st day from the prior Rosh Chodesh, meaning the first day of the new month is only after 30 days from the prior month. When do they light the torches? That's only on a month that's not been added. The day has not been added on. So there's 29 days of the prior month. Then after what would have been the 30th day, 30 days from the prior Rosh Chodesh, they declare this to be the new moon, the new month, and that's the first day of the next month. And they light the torches. When do they light the torches? And when is it that we light the torches? La'or Ibura. In the or after the Yom Ibura, the additional day. Meaning the 30th day after the prior Rosh Chodesh is the Yom Ibura. That's the day that sometimes is added on to the previous month. It's the or that comes after that day. So Alma or Urtu. So doesn't that show you that or means nighttime? I mean, they light the torches at nighttime so that it can be seen. So don't you see that it means or means night? It's the night after that 30th day. Shema Mino. Yes, we see that it means night. So again, as we explained before, and based on what we mentioned before, we also had a raya that it was nighttime. This further shows that it's mistaber that in our Mishnah or means nighttime, but it doesn't prove it conclusively because it could also mean day. But we do see that it means night, and therefore it's mistaber that it means night in our Mishnah, but it's not proven conclusively. Now we have a kasha to Rabbi Yehuda. The Kain was standing the entire night and he was offering the korbanos, the chalavim, the murm on the mizbeach. So he was putting on and burning on the mizbeach. Now, a Kain, before he does the avodah, he has to wash his hands and feet with the kir, and he does the avodah. Now, even though he's continually doing the avodah, but la'oira, when it comes la'oira, so now he has to wash again. The very Rebbe, that's what Rebbe says. So don't you see that oira means daytime? He can do the avodah through the entire night. When it comes the next day, he has to wash again. So oira means daytime. The Gemara says no. Rabbi Yehuda will answer oira shiny. When it says oira, it taka refers to the daytime, but we're talking about or, and Rabbi Yehuda says or means night. It doesn't mean day. Meser Marzutra. Now we're going back Akasha on Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, or is daytime. Meser Marzutra has the following kasha: Hama Palace or Lishmaini Vech. If a woman has a miscarriage on the or of Shmaini Vechad, the or of the 81st day after she gave birth. So the halacha is that if a woman gives birth, if it's to a girl, she's tummy for 14 days after the birth, and then for the next 66 days, that's Demei Tara. Even if she sees dam, she's not considered to be a nida, she's not Tameya, it's Tara, it's dam Tara. So if she sees any time dam during that period of time, she's Tara. After the 80th day, then after the 80th day, then she brings, she is taival, she brings a korban, she brings a korban yeledes. Now what happens if she miscarries again, meaning if she gave birth to a girl, and she, during the period of time of that 80 days, she miscarries. Now for a miscarriage, she would also have to bring another korban. But let's say she had the miscarriage during the 80 days of the first birth, of the birth of the girl. So the law is she does not bring another korban, because it's all within the same period of time of her first korban. She is not eligible to bring a korban yet, so she doesn't have the chiyuv yet to bring the korban for the first birth. So the second miscarriage is all encompassed within that same chiyuv. That is if it's within the 80th day. But let's say it's after the 80th day, and let's say it's on the or of after the 80th day. So Mapelas or l'shmeinim ve'echad. So that would mean that it is on the night after the 80th day. Beis Shammai poitrim mikorban. Beis Shammai says just like if it was in the period beforehand, within the 80 days, there's no chiyuv korban. Similarly, if it's in the night after the 80th day, there's also no chiyuv korban. It's also encompassed and incorporated in that same period of chiyuv. Beis Hillel machayvim. Beis Hillel says no. It's considered a new chiyuv and it's a new korban. Omer lehem Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel says Beis Shammai ma'ishna or shmeini ve'echad b'yom shmeini ve'echad. Well, you agree that if she miscarried in the daytime of the 81st day, that she certainly would have to bring another korban. So why should we make a difference between the 81st, the daytime, or the night of the 81st day? Im shiva lo l'tuma, lo yisha lo l'korban. Just like you agree that if she sees dam on the night of the 81st, that she's tmei, even though the period of time beforehand, if she sees blood, she's dam within the 80 days, she's tahira, but afterwards, in the night afterwards, she's tameya, which is like the day afterwards. So the day of the 81st, the night of the 81st are the same. So therefore, im shiva lo l'tuma lo yisha lo l'korban, shouldn't it be the same and equivalent as far as korban? And just like if she miscarried in the 81st day, she would have to bring a separate korban. If she would have miscarriage in the night of the 81st, it would be the same din. So, Midra Kamra Beis Hillel Beis Shammai Ma'ishna or Shmeinim ve'echad b'yom shmeinim ve'echad shma mino. We see from here or orto shma mino. When we see over here that they say, well, what's the difference that they say, the Beis Hillel says the Beis Shammai Ma'ishna or Shmein Miyom Shmein Ve'echad. So doesn't that show you clearly that or means nighttime? Beis Hillel says, what's the difference between the day of the 81st or the day or the or? So doesn't that show you that or means night? So again, we have another raya, that another example where or means nighttime. Now just incidentally, the Beis Shammai says that there's their potter Beis Hillel says they're machayvin, because what's the difference? Legabe Tumah, they're the same, they should be the same. Legabe Korban as well. So, but Shammai's answer to that, no, is that it's different, because in the nighttime, even though it's entered into a new period, and therefore if she sees dam, she'll become Tmeya. So therefore it's not the same period of time as the days within the 80 days, or the 66 days, to be more precise. However, Beis Shammai says that, but you're not eligible to bring a korban yet. You can't bring a korban at night. You can only bring a korban till the next day. So her chiyuv korban only starts on the day of the 81st. So therefore, their new chiyuv can only begin also on the next day. So that is as far as that machlekes is concerned. However, we see another case where or means nighttime. So again, gives further support to Rabbi Yehuda, but it's not conclusive, and the more will continue further to bring rayas.